We are here live, and everybody is sorry. We're all here and alive and awaiting a very very awesome story by our awesome guest, and we're all here in the awesome planet. And I'm not going to take too much of the time introducing because he has a lot of stories to tell us. The only thing I'm going to ask is Eugene Hammerland. What is the Hammerland all about?
Actually, it's one of the names that's listed in the catalogo of family names, which was during the time of Narciso de Claveria, no? And what it actually does is it gives you a sense of place because it gave everyone family names and
Yeah.
also put you in a particular location for auditing, for taxation, and also to keep track of movement of the native population.
But are you a mestizo or pure?
No, no. You know, my brother uh, took one of those tests,
Yeah.
and there he found out that it was like, you're like reading Philippine history.
Pero
It's all
there's
this.
no J in the Tagalog alphabet. So you are
There
J.
is a J. There is a no. The J is from the catalogo.
Uh,
So if you look at especially since we were all from the area of Haro,
and
so
Haro is J.
under
Okay.
so all the families that were in Haro
Oh.
started with the letter J, and some of them also with the letter L. I cannot explain that. No, but
Oh, oh,
most
oh.
of us, Hamerlan, Hamandre, Havillana, all of those
Yes.
family names started with the letter J, no? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I looked it up, no, and our original spelling was with the letter I. It was not with the letter E. But somehow, through the years,
Yamerlan?
ang original na Hammerland with a letter I
Uh-huh.
disappeared.
Okay.
So if you look at records, wala na. Or even if you look at Facebook, wala na.
All right.
So it's all ER na. I don't know if it was spelling mistake or out of habit, ganon. Hmm.
Okay. But to the audience, I must have skipped too many introductions. We are now with Eugene Hammerland, a very, very much respected and a leading heritage advocate, not just probably of Iloilo, but a lot more about the country. But before that, say hello to Pilar Martinez, Eugene. He's
Hi,
saying,
Pilar. Hi, Pilar. Hello. She's one of our heritage colleagues, no?
okay.
Her family owns one of the oldest printing presses in the whole Philippines. They started in 1912.
Wow.
So later you will see involvement ni Inday Pilar. Um, they got a grant from one of the institutions to digitize the collection of the press. All the old newspapers. So they're
Wow.
working with another institution to do that. No? So makita mo that it's not the museum is alive. You
Yes.
have all of this work that's being done, and we see each other regularly.
Okay. All right. Before we go into the stuff that is as old probably as me or older, tell us first your story. How did you get? Una muna, you are a native born from Iloilo.
Yes,
All right.
I was born in Iloilo in a post-war, and um, where I am now, the property belonged to my great grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
No, so we've been here in this area for I don't know how many generations, and when we dug up a portion of the back lot, we saw shards of porcelain
Uh-huh.
from. And so what I did was I brought it to an antique collector. At the time I was in high school, I think, just so that I wanted it identified. And she said, look, it's interesting because the shards came from different periods. It's not just one, no? And then from it, merong Annamese, meron siyang Chinese, merong iba-iba. So we, and then portions of the shards were also worn out, no?
Mm-hmm.
Then much later, I kind of had the idea that maybe because Haro was a weaving center, the shards were used. No, if you look at old old textile processes, the pineapple and
Mm.
the abaca were separated. The pulp was separated from the fiber by scraping a piece of porcelain against the flesh of the pineapple or abaca.
Talaga.
So, oh, that could be a possible explanation. Another one is the Americans built the Panay Railway, which passed through the back of our property. And when they did that in 1910, they also dug up a large portion of the area because Iloilo is is a floodplain.
Yeah.
So they had to raise it. Haro is one of the higher areas of Iloilo. It's I think ang Haro Plaza is one of the highest points of the floodplain. No?
Mm-hmm.
So they had to put a, a dike on the side and probably dredge the river to get material, and that's probably where the shards came from also.
From a sunken something or
No.
just
You have to
rock?
remember that Haro was trading center. So ang daming, there was trade, the 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 traders who came from China, from Vietnam, from Thailand, they came in via the river system. And
What
the
river?
end Iloilo River. The
Okay.
Iloilo River is actually an arm of the sea. It's not really. It doesn't have a headwater. So it opens on both sides, on two ends. No. So
Uh-huh.
in the larger end, you could come in and go through, and then on the other end, you can also dock and cross over by land.
It's still alive?
It's still alive. It's actually part of the Esplanade development. Um, the city over the years has developed it as a linear park.
Okay.
So no heavy metal industry. So it's all it's you can go fishing, line fishing, no commercial fishing, and it's it has become very safe, no, and healthy.
Yeah. Okay. Um, before to the audience, before we went on board, Eugene was already. I was already very much intrigued with Eugene's stories, and he was just starting. And I never realized there was a British presence in Iloilo. And since we are now in the Queen Elizabeth the third mode still there, um, please tell us about this British presence. I never knew that.
The British came in the 1850s, no, because they wanted to put up industry in the Philippines after they were having problems, I think, with the relationship with Hong Kong, no. So the governor of Hong Kong at the time, John Bowring, came to Iloilo
Uh huh.
and visited to do an ocular survey of the island for the industrial production of sugarcane,
Okay.
because they had, the British had all the industrial machinery to improve the processing of sugar. No? So much later, I think the trade houses started coming in. So one of the trade houses that stayed had a presence here in Iloilo was Karen Company. No? In fact, the old uh, trade house is now part of the city government properties,
It's still
and
there, the building.
it's still there. It's right next to the Inchausti Trade House. So ang dalawang trade houses together, the Inchausti Trade House is now the Museum of Economic History. And then the Karen Company Trade House houses several public city government offices, the City Tourism Office, the
Yeah.
Senior Citizen Center is there, and then some of the rooms are open for conferences.
Anyway, before that, I have to ask you if those how those buildings are preserved. You mentioned that the British and the Basque
The back,
were busy, were trading in Iloilo, and
yeah,
the Inchausti family, and I know one of them was the owner of Eco.
yeah.
Okay, audience, this is a trivia. Do you know what Eco was? YCO. Let's see if one of them would remember. Ayan yung floor wax. Di ba? Until now, okay, but until now, are these two companies still active?
I think they are, but they have now devolved to other companies. So BPI, which also was one of their companies, is now with the Ayalas.
Really?
Uh,
It was theirs?
yeah, there
Oh,
was
I
they
didn't.
have the Inchausti company had an online um, a website where you could access all of the products that they used to have, no? So they were into banking, they were into rope, they were into abaca rope manufacturing. What else were they into? They were into wine. So they were into rum. They were into um, well, eco floor wax, no,
Uh-huh.
among others.
Yeah. So,
And they were into construction.
where's this family now?
Most of them are back in Spain,
Mm,
but during the inauguration of the Museum of Economic History, they in Chelsea family sent the representatives to to grace the occasion.
oh my gosh. I think we will need about two or three interviews with you, Eugene. So, moving on. Let me first ask you, why do people keep telling me Iloilo is one of the richest province in the Philippines? Why do you think?
I think it's also I think Iloilo is very diversified. No, so you have access to rice. There's corn. Aside from the grains, you also have access to the sea. So there's a lot of seafood, and then there's
Yeah.
also a lot of fresh water,
And a lot of daing. I know,
and
daing
also a lot of daing. Yes.
and
Oh. In 2006, I did a project with the Lopez group of companies, and uh, it was a book that was edited by Anita Fileo,
mm,
and published by the Lopezes with our former tourism head, Narcelina Lim,
uh-huh.
uh, doing the main production. And
Okay.
so I was able to work with a lot of historians, local historians, no, anthropologists, and also for architecture, we had the late architect Toti Villalon.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. For food, it was
Villalototi is from Iloilo.
his part of his family is actually Ilonggo, but he is Cebu.
Uh-huh.
Architect Toti was born in Cebu.
All right.
And then for food, we had Micaela Phoenix,
Okay.
who eventually became the editor of Food Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked with her after that also.
Okay.
So it was like almost 2 years, no? So we went all around because we were saying that you cannot tell the story of Iloilo if you don't go and see the rest of the island because there's so much shared heritage, no? So we went to Antique, we went to Capiz, Clan, then we went across to Guimaras because these were all related. You know, all of the products of all these other areas were traded in Iloilo, no? Yung akala mo galing sa amin pala, hindi eh. It was just part of the trade network product.
When you say trading, that was trading with into Manila, going into the Manila.
Not necessarily Manila. There's a lot of trading going on between Iloilo and Mindoro via Capiz, no? Uh, and then also sugar was refined, but they did not go to Manila for the refining. They were first processed into muscovado, which
Mm-hmm.
is brown sugar as we know it, and then they were consolidated and sent to either Hong Kong or to Australia.
Is that how Iloilo got rich?
Yes,
Through the sugar.
through the sugar. Um, there was also a lot of rice that was also exported from, but not necessarily from Iloilo, no, because I remember part of um, the list of rice that we looked at, the catalog of rice trading that was going on happened in Antique,
Uh-huh.
but these were sent over to Iloilo as part of the trade
Okay.
also. So it's all over, not just Iloilo.
But Eugene, how how can you remember all every other sentence you say has a date, has a name, has a place, has how do you do it? I mean, okay,
Alam mo,
reading you
alam mo,
are
when
that
you're living heritage,
yeah.
as we are, I have a group, no, of um, of heritage workers. We are researchers, we are teachers of architecture, of humanities, of history. We get together and then we have museum curators, museum homeowners. We get together every now and then, no? Especially before COVID. And then we lived it. We would serve heritage food. We
Okay,
would
but
make sure that we remember all of these things. No?
now the people who told you those stories, eventually they would have been gone, right? So, where are these records now kept? Are they all with you, or in the museum, or
What we're doing now is we're digitizing. That's part of the projects that we're doing now. Is we're trying to record all of this. It's not just architecture, no? Although primarily what is happening now is we were able to connect many of these architects with institutions
okay,
that also trained them to do heritage work, no? To do measurements, to do as-built plans, to go through the whole process of putting a sense of order. And we have institutions like Ramon Aboitiz Foundation in Cebu that's helping
mhm,
us. We also have, we're working with the Centennial Museum of Santa Barbara because they have the funds to help us with the training of workshops, workshop material and we need a venue also for, because it's not city based. We are separate from the Heritage Council of Iloilo City. It's
Uh-huh.
really a larger um, a larger scope.
But
So
physically, you are your works are city based. Physically, it's located in the city where
not
I'm.
all. Like for example, we did when we did the heritage training program with the UST
Mm-hmm.
graduate school with Dr. Eric Cerudo.
Hmm.
We did portions of the workshop exercises were done in Santa Barbara. It was outside the city,
Oh,
and aside from several heritage houses inside, we also did it outside the city. And then we did the measurement of some of the brick factories in another area, Zaraga, I think, Zaraga or um, the coastal area, no, near Haro.
all right. Anyway, before we get there, Gina Mapua has
Hi, Gina.
yeah, hi Gina. He said, I remember my mother telling me that the sugar industry began in Iloilo and expanded into Negros Occidental. And she said Bacolod did not have a deep water harbor in the beginning. So the molasses was packed in barrels and floated out to sea waiting cargo ships. How? It's not melting. And anyway, hi Gina. And also Santa Barbara Centennial Museum said, always a pleasure working with you, Sir Eugene. Of course. I mean,
That's
Eugene.
Inday Irene, remember? Oh, she was with us during the cooking show.
Yes. Another wow, more friends. For you, Joy Venus. Finally, I got the link. Okay, welcome. Yeah. All right. So now you were saying architecture. Okay, which is how we also first met and talked about because
Yes.
you were preserving houses.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about that now.
Uh, it is very important that we do a catalog, no, of all these houses, especially now that there's so much development going on. So at least it will inform constructions around the city now about the value of our architectural heritage. Um, in the last few months, we have accessed material from Spanish archives, also from the Czechoslovakian Museum. These are all about Iloilo. No, it's Iloilo has been very um, lucky because it's been documented by many countries. Because it was not just the Spanish that was here in Iloilo for the sugar or the British. There was also a Swiss in there was a Swiss presence. There was also the Germans were also here.
Really?
Yeah. So I was able to see. You remember our good friend Joseph Sagemuller?
Yes, of
Gifted,
course. Who
he
doesn't?
gifted me with an old newspaper which documented the the Iloilo fiasco when the Americans could not uh, enter the city of Iloilo because they had to undergo the negotiations in the Treaty of Paris. So it's in Old German, and our friend Joseph
Yes.
translated everything in. Oh, it's in High German. He translated it into simple English for me.
Oh, okay. Now,
So
all these
what
guys.
we're doing now is we're gathering all of this information, putting it together, including an 1893 map of the city of Iloilo during its heyday as a center for sugar.
Okay. Question. All the presence of these guys, the Swedish, the Germans, the Basque, the British, did they
Yeah.
have any influence in the cuisine, the culinary DNA of Iloilo?
Yeah. In fact, there were several clubs that were in Iloilo, no? So you have the uh, Casino Espanol, which was
Yes.
uh, eventually they had a new building that was built in 1922, I think. But before that, previous to that, they also had houses
Mm-hmm.
that were used informally as their clubs, no? So early on, you had access to a lot of Spanish food, no? Many of them in canned like chorizo Bilbao.
Wow.
Or chorizo Bilbao is not Spanish, huh?
Yeah.
It's local.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it was really
What do you mean
it was
local?
it
Iloilo?
was no, it was manufactured in Manila.
Really?
Yeah, if you go to Spain and then look for chorizo Bilbao, people will just look at you because it doesn't exist there.
Okay.
Eventually, what happened was a family that was making that moved to the States and then brought the
Recipe.
the product with them, and it was sold to an American company.
Which is that the one now made in California?
I think so. Yes.
Wow.
Mm.
But because there's one, I don't see that here in Houston anymore, but I know there's one called Martin's.
I don't know if it's this by the same family,
Oh,
but you know what we're doing is we're tracing all of this, no, from um, extant records. There are digital libraries from the U.S. aside from the Library of Congress, and also from the French and the Spanish that
okay.
you can look up and then see all of this in the records.
Oh my gosh, this
So
is
you don't even have to go to to
yeah.
Europe, no, to access all of this. Oo.
Well, more names coming up here. I think they're excited about your stories. From Joy Venus, who's worked with you, Jojo Layson, I met
Hello.
in one of the RAFI Triennial Awards. Very interesting to talk to, of course. And Rose Hennessy, good afternoon. Okay,
Hi,
what's
Rose.
RAFI? What's that? Is that anything with heritage?
Ramon Abuitis Foundation Incorporated.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
we were. I was. I was part of that. Uh, there was a triennial awards, no, for heritage, and I represented Western Visayas. I would be part of the nomination committee for the Visayas, and during the time, Dr. Joy Venus is Dr. Joy Hera, was the head. She's now with Museo Sugbo and the Museum of Naga,
Uh-huh.
and with the city of Mandaue. She still does heritage work, and she probably teaches on the side as well. No? Jojo Leson was also part of the heritage group, but I remember her because her family is one of the mestizo families that made local sardinas, and
Mm.
they still make it in Mindanao.
What's the
So
name?
maybe ah, you have to ask her.
Ah,
I
okay.
might be saying the wrong brand later on.
Pero there's another one who's giving us information. Yvette Maravilla Estrella said the Goya brand, which I know, the Goya brand here in the United States, it has chorizo de Bilbao. I have yet to see that. I only saw Martins because we were looking for El Rey. That's the one, El
Yeah,
Rey.
Chorizo El Rey. Yeah.
Gosh, wow. And then,
Yvette's family owned Pendis in Bacolod.
huh?
Pendis,
Really?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
her brother Omon runs the
Oh,
place.
oh my gosh. That's
So it's really a small world.
very, yeah. So both Chinese Heritage Museum, sabi ni Joy Venus.
Yes. Oh.
Oh. Okay. So you said okay, that was just the chorizo de Bilbao. What more? We're under the influence.
Um, Architecture in Iloilo was also influenced by the Basques, no? So we have these cottages. You even see them in Nelly Garden. You have the small cottages on the side.
Yeah.
Okay, that is very traditional in Iloilo. Those satellite cottages are called chalets. They're
Okay.
not called chalets now, but they called chalets
Uh-huh.
from probably from the French, but that's how the Basques pronounce it.
Uh-huh.
And that's the housing that was given to most of the people who worked in the sugar industry. You know, the managers, the engineers that came here. They were all billeted in this wooden raised uh, houses, no cottages, and they were all over Iloilo, all the way up to Villa. You know where Breakthrough is? That used to be all full along the bye. You could see
Mm,
all of the houses had that. No? So,
okay.
and also with them, there was an influence in the cuisine of Iloilo. Now, if you look at the lechon of Cebu, wala silang sarsa, no? There's
Uh-huh.
no there's no salsa.
Okay. Also,
There's no liver sauce.
yeah.
Oh, I think that is probably a big chance that that is an influence of the Basques,
Yes.
because the recipe of the lechon sauce is very similar to the liver sauce that they use in the romesco sauce
Ah, okay.
with the liver, except that instead of biscocho they're using ground almonds
Mm-hmm.
to thicken the sauce, no?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that.
Mm,
Before we go, ito na si Jojo got excited na. She said it's Montano sardines made
montan,
with
yes.
and hello, I have Montano sardine here. We brought them here.
It's
It's a
very good.
precious treasure of my husband. But anyway, did the Basque intermarry? Kasi I know I have a friend, he's Basque, and he said they have an RH factor in their blood. Diba? Is it, I
Yes.
don't know if it means blue blood or whatever, that you cannot really easily intermarry. So, paano yun?
I have one friend, I will not mention his name,
Uh-huh.
but the family had that problem, no?
Mm-hmm.
So for the longest time, the brother's wife could not, the children would be stillborn
Uh-huh.
until I think at one point they was decided to drain. As soon as the babies were delivered, I don't know by cesarean or
Uh-huh.
the blood was changed.
Really?
Yeah, they were able to do that, and then the family was able to have like 5 or 6 kids.
Okay, so now there's a Basque line,
Mm,
bloodline in Iloilo until now. Or
yes,
talaga?
and then also they are on online sa Red Cross for people with the same problem. Oh, so
Uh-huh.
they have this list of possible donors because
Oh.
it's very rare. Eh. Mm,
Yes, yes, very rare indeed.
mm.
Yeah. Okay, back again. Kasi yung mga friends mo excited eh. I have to read all their comments about ano eh. Oh, okay, so what now keeps you busy in all the heritage hunting, research, collecting that you're doing and contributing not just to Iloilo but to the country?
Um, Before COVID, I was part of the group, including Doc Joy Venus was also part of that. We
Cool.
were consulted for the Philippine Heritage Charter that was sponsored by NCCA and CHESA in Intramuros. It started in 2016 and we finished in 2018. It was really to put heritage in a local language that was agreeable to everyone. So the consultation also involved minority groups from Luzon and Mindanao. Um, Over a period of time yun eh. So like 2 years yata. Oo. So, but around that time, I also had a stroke. So I really had to limit my movement also. No? So it became important that I realized I needed a whole group of colleague. It had to be a collegial group, no,
Mm-hmm.
with the same interests that would share information.
The same
And so,
passion, dapat.
yes, yes. So a lot of the people that I work with, I shared with you my photos of them. And maybe if you have time later, we can look at them and I can introduce each one of
Yeah.
them
All
who
right.
are in that in the photos. No.
Okay. When we were talking earlier, I said at the back of your where you are now, I'm seeing everything there has a heritage story. And well, you were telling me that that is the house where you live in now. So
Yes,
yeah, so that tell us about that house.
this was the house was built in the 1940s. It's post-war deco tawag. No,
Ah, okay. I
it's
suppose.
really uh, it was really done in at the time halos wala na yung mga hardwoods like uh, um, the the old balayongs and all they were almost gone, no? So we were we ended up with hardwood of lawaan, and then and if you had balayong, it was really just for the small details, handrails,
Are
maybe
those trees
for
still
the step.
in existence?
Yeah. Oh. And then so what we did was uh, everything is we try to maintain the house, no, and some of the things that I have here uh, was still part of my mom's collection. Also, you have the British decalware with the willow pattern. I don't know if I can get it, but I'll wait.
While you're looking for what's a willow pattern, even to the audience, even the chair that Eugene is sitting on, I know that is heritage design. I I see it often now being replicated, but that's probably what
See,
oh
but this is this is British wear, no? In fact, you can access a coffee table book online that shows you the history of this kind of British wear, and then I have the original manufacturer, J. Bell's brothers, no.
okay.
So this was very popular at the time, no, the 1850s.
What did you
This,
call that
this
pattern?
the willow pattern. There's a story, di ba, of the lovers who were their relationship was not approved by the parents and they had to escape, and then parang may istorya yan eh, and then they ended up in the end that they die, and then so they end up as the two birds on the top. But
Yeah.
this is really just um, a British invention. It's not Chinese at all, no. As I found out later, there was there was it became fashionable at the time to collect a lot of Orientalia. So the same company that did this also did a lot of Southeast Asian motifs, no. So it's not just the Chinese; they also did They also did Vietnamese. They also did Thai,
Yeah.
and for the foreign market.
Oh
Mm-mm.
my gosh. Okay. Before that, Joy. Hi, Joy. Oh my. She said, I didn't know you had a stroke, Eugene, but I love that you preserve your old house. Yeah. Your garden with the old-fashioned plants is beautiful too. Yeah. I wish. I don't remember so well because we were so busy packing in how many things in a day for the shoot. But okay, we need to now go. I think we have to go to the photos already. But before
Okay.
that, one last question.
Okay.
How can you tell the fakes from the real?
Actually, you have to do it. You learn. You educate yourself. You know. We had a member of the Oriental Ceramic Society come to Iloilo, and she looked at the collections. And in fact, they included part of the book that they produced contains collections from Iloilo also. And then she showed us how to look at uh, the provenance and what are the nuances of particular. Hanggang ngayon, actually, I can't really tell, no? But I think it will take years and years, no? Or you go and talk to friends who are collectors also. They
Uh-huh.
will tell you
Yeah.
uh, what they think, no? They will give you their opinion.
All right. Okay. So now we are going to go into the photos. Let me see. Audience, these are the photos that was shared to us by Eugene. Wait a minute. All right. Let's start with this one. Eugene.
Yeah, this was a book project that was done in 2005, 2004 by the late this was Rinaldo Gamboa, Alejandro, and
Who's your
Mike
Rooney?
Santos.
Okay. Yeah.
And Mike Santos.
And Mike. Okay.
Yes. And it's very interesting because both of them are not Ilonggos.
Yeah, I know. Mike is from Malabon.
Yeah. And what was so interesting was I met uh, Mr. Alejandro years and years before that when he was working in the New York Public Library.
Mhm.
I think he was head of the cartography
Mhm.
department of the museum of the library, no? Eh, alam mo naman mga Pinoy, di ba? Ang ingay-ingay. We went there, we were doing, several of our friends were students from Pratt and FIT. So we were looking at the materials and ang ingay namin, he just glared at us. Yung parang, parang nahiya siya siguro ang ingay ng mga Pinoy. So when it came to Iloilo to do the project, I reminded him and he just let out, a laugh na, kayo pala yon. So,
Ronnie
but
was
this,
also co-author in the Adobo book also.
and what is interesting is I included a recipe in this book, which
Yes.
I should share with you.
Uh-huh.
Two recipes, in fact, that are actually adobo.
Okay na.
Oh,
Okay na.
one is, I'll give it to you later, huh?
All right.
One is for duck, which
Okay.
is cooked in tuba.
Mm-hmm.
But the tuba is also infused with grated mangrove bark,
Okay.
and then you have cloves, you have it's not even laurel, no, it's a kind of cinnamon leaf that's used.
Kasha. Kasha.
Cassia, yes. uh and then what else was there? Basta ang ano niya main ingredient was tuba, no?
Okay.
And then it was simmered until the the sauce became very thick, and
Okay.
then after that you can actually fry
Yeah.
the duck also. So para siyang confident, ano?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's another one in that book that I did that I shared, which was for kind of paksiw. Uh,
Okay.
it's abo fish. I don't know if you're familiar with this croaker. It's a kind of
Yes.
croaker fish,
Yeah.
and you let it you cook it in kamyas,
Mm-hmm.
lots of kamyas, and different souring agents, and then with leaves also, and then it's cooked like pinamalhan.
Parang I'm not sure if it's called pigek, pigek na fish. But anyway, okay, we have to
Parang
go.
ganun siya, and then later you also fry it
All right.
when you and then the sauce that you cooked it in is also thickened by just rendering it, and
Mm-hmm.
then you dip the fish into that.
Okay, you have to give that to me. Now, hello, Lorna Guadalupe. Glad to see you. Guadalupe Beasley. Glad to see you, Eugene. All right. Anyway, next photo. Wow.
These are the architects that I work with.
And who are
Architect
they?
Des Austria,
Uh-huh.
architect Reggie Falconite, and the two uh, architects beside them are fresh graduates. They just passed the architecture board at that time, no? So architect Alden and architect Sean.
Okay.
And all four of them were able to train with the UST graduate school program
Mm-hmm.
for heritage training, no? Sponsored by the American Ambassadors Fund.
Uh-huh.
And after they got their certificates, they were able to get a grant to restore the main altar and side altars of Gimbal Church.
That's the church. Now, what's
That's the
that
church.
figure I see with the hands outstretched? Is that a crucifixion?
Yes, that
Oh,
is in the front altar. And
yes.
then at the time, di pa yan tapos eh. They still have to complete the all the saints, no? Kasi meron siyang iconography that they had to follow.
What's the
This
what
is
material is that? Is that adobe or
that's
stone?
teak.
Huh?
That is teak
Ah,
wood,
it's wood.
which is
Oh,
native to the area.
oh my
So
gosh.
all the design of the altar is also based on old photographs, not archival material,
Mm-hmm.
and this is really something that they worked on over a period of time during the COVID.
Uh-oh.
Mm.
Okay. Next. All right.
Ito
This is
yung,
your
this
group.
is the whole group we were in.
Mhm.
We were in Cebu
All
to,
right.
on the invitation of Dr. Hera,
All
who was
right.
with the Mandawi government at the time. But she opened doors and invited us to look at the collections in different museums like Casa Gorordo, of Ramon Aboitiz. We also went to the Jesuit house, also just so that they have an idea of how heritage work was being done in Cebu.
And
No?
what's that background? Where were
This
you?
is, this is one of the oldest houses in Cebu. It's owned by the Yap San Diego family.
Really?
And what the owner did was he painted his family as
Uh-huh.
background, and the staff is trained so that they can take your picture, no, all around the house. Alam na nila where to put you, where the lights are. Yung very very theatrical yung kanilang approach, no,
Uh-huh.
to to the heritage experience.
Yeah, I think you have to do a shout out now to our new tourism secretary. Di ba? She's from Cebu
From
and
Cebu, yes.
no,
Oh,
to bring the tourists there to you to Iloilo as well. Yeah,
yeah.
very good. And di ba?
Yeah, mom, you should come
Yeah.
and especially during Dinagyang. Dinagyang will be this coming January.
Mm-mm. And not
Uh,
only that, but a continuing exhibit for Iloilo of by these people. They should be they your group should also be commended anyway. I'm talking too much already. I'm getting excited. Okay, what
This is
is
another
this?
page. This is another page from another book. This was the book that was published by the Lopez Group Foundation called Iloilo, a Rich and Noble Land. No? And this was uh, uh, the interpretation of the artist P.J. Sulwaga of the
Who?
Seven Layers. P.J. Sulwaga.
Okay.
He, he was commissioned to do an interpretation of the seven layers of the Panay universe.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Panay Bukidnon are the keepers of 10 epics. And the eminent anthropologist, Dr. Um, my goodness, now nag-black out ako. I
Okay.
can, but I will remember her name later.
Okay.
Uh, she put this together in she translated it from the old language to the modern Hiligaynon, and then to Tagalog, and then to Filipino, and then to English. So 10 epics in 13 volumes, no, which
Wow.
are now available. So you start from the bottom layer where you have nothingness, it's just darkness, and then you progress through several layers with different beings, no, that inhabit each layer until
How big is
you
this?
reach.
How big is this work?
It's I'm not so sure how big the work is, but it's in the book. It's 2 pages. Eh.
Must be.
So and then on top you have the supreme being, no,
Mm-hmm.
lording over everything.
Okay.
So I also use that when I ask permission from the foundation if I could borrow that when I did another um, article for Clan Garcia, who
Wow.
did another book on food travel, and I use that to illustrate how, in a way, the epics also show how we eat food in Iloilo. No? The food is layered. It's not just you just don't have laswa, but
Uh-huh.
laswa is always eaten with all these side condiments that you put on top of it.
Yeah.
You have all this dried fish, you have the
Even your
ginamon.
bachoy is layered.
Yeah, it's ganon man eh, di ba?
Mm-mm.
When we were doing the surveys, I remember they were amazed at the number of soups that Iloilo has, no? Ang
Yeah.
dami talaga. So you have so I said we needed to document all of this, no?
Yes.
Um, so
Wow.
can we go to the next slide?
Wait.
Maybe that.
Who is Alice Magos? Pilar.
Oh, that's the one. Si Doctora Alicia Magos was the anthropologist who
Okay.
spent her entire life doing the epics. No, she's still alive, and she's been very active. Even if she's retired, she has dedicated her entire life to the epics.
Oh my gosh. They are all
Oh,
right.
that's the one. That's the one of Clang Garcia.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And then this one is the chocolate.
Yeah.
Remember, uh, see, when we were starting with heritage work, one of the places that we were involved with started serving chocolate. It
Mm-hmm.
was not even planned when the owner of the house served it. And I said, my goodness, this is so good. Why don't you serve this in your heritage house? And
Uh-huh.
that became her signature drink for that house.
Mhm.
And si Jory, remember Jory?
Yes. Hi, Jory.
Jory was the one who helped that house, by being the warm body that would be there to answer all the queries about the food or
Uh-huh.
what was being offered in that house. And eventually what happened was chocolate became popular
Mm.
everywhere, di ba? So now you go to uh, in Alimudjan, they sell 70% dark chocolate. I go to a store a few blocks away from the house. They sell Batableya.
Okay.
So, yung parang nagkaroon ng ano, revival of all these things that are, we took for granted for a long, long time, no?
So, question. Chocolate, not coffee. I mean, you did not develop coffee.
We
Or
also had coffee. We had also, but you have to remember that Iloilo does not have Arabica.
why?
So, because it's of the, we don't have the altitude that
Uh-huh.
Negros or Sagada has, no?
Okay.
So, but we have there, if you the robusta, if you process them well,
Uh-huh.
they have excellent coffee also. I
Oh,
tried. There's an Igbaras robusta that I've tried. It's dark roast.
uh-huh.
It's very chocolatey. Ang sarap.
So is there such a thing as a signature for the chocolate of Iloilo and the coffee of Iloilo?
I I think it's the the way I look at it. It's parang there's malapot siya eh.
Oo nga.
Both the chocolate and the coffee
Like
are
a name that will be the signature in Iloilo. A name of the chocolate.
no. There's too many brands that
Ah,
there's no one particular. You have to go to a certain place. Like if you want to have a particular way of serving chocolate, you go to
yeah.
one
Well, it's
way. Then yeah, you
Lorna.
if you want another one that does not have milk, then you go to another. You have to go and do the tour.
Before that, let me divert.
Yeah,
The halo-halo of Iloilo with the yung you still have to go to the theatrics of raising the can of milk
ah,
while pouring it, and that it has to be Alaska, di ba? Alaska.
yeah.
What's
It's
that? That is so tradition. That has become like iconic. So why? How did you get people to stick to that Alaska brand and to do it that way, which is so nice? I mean, until now, ba?
You have to remember that part of the coffee and the chocolate culture also came with canned milk. So it's not just canned fresh milk, but you
Evap-
also had the evap. You also had the condensed milk, no?
yes.
And tradition was it was served in a thick glass, di ba? From probably cut from a wine bottle, no?
Uh-huh.
And parang when you go to Vietnam, they have exactly the same kind of tradition, except of course they go through. They have that fin, no? Which is something that they develop. Kami naman, we have the sock. You have that which they also have in Thailand, di ba?
Yeah. The medyas.
The medyas. Oh.
One thing also, I don't know if it has to do with your sugar industry, is putting sugar putting sugar on something that is already sweet like halo halo. Oh my god. But it works.
And then also remember the bichokoy, which is the same as the crawlers that they have in Hong Kong for
Uh-huh.
breakfast.
Oh.
Except that the one in Hong Kong, they don't put sugar. Ours is rolled in granulated sugar, and
Bicho.
then you put it in you dip it into your coffee that's also laced with condensed milk pa.
Oh my god.
And it's double ano yun,
I think this Lorna is
sugar load.
she's getting hungry. She's already into her chocolate drink. Gets me back to my childhood using batidor, Alaska evaporated milk. It has to be evaporated. Okay. All right. So, to continue with the photos, next slide. Who?
See, that's Jory. Oh.
Jory. Yes, one of
And
the
then Jory did we did a project before when we started doing the QR coding of heritage houses and churches. We were sponsored by um, Smart and I think Inopub, which is Max Limpag's company based in Cebu. No? This was one of the first um, projects that they did outside of Cebu. And si Jory was the one who was very instrumental in getting all of this done. Uh, Later, they continued it. I'm not so sure what the technology is now, no? Kasi ang bilis ng change of technologies eh. But of course, Jory is very active. He has that flavors of Iloilo blog, and he's on Instagram
Yes.
and Facebook.
And
And he, without even knowing it, ang laki ng kanyang influence and, ang hakot niya ng mga tao to look at Iloilo food, no?
because he's believable.
Yes.
That's important. Anyway, QR code. Anyway, there was a joke. Gina said that I know this joke that when people in Bacolod would put enough sugar in their coffee, the drink got sweet without having to stir it. That's true. Same for Iloilo. Okay. Hi, Jory. Thank you very much. All right. Who's this?
Uh,
Congratulations.
Inday Irene
Yun.
Magalyon. She's the tourism officer of Santa Barbara. At the same time, she's also the director, curator of the Santa Barbara Centennial Museum.
All right.
And she was the one who did the project with us for the
Mhm.
food competition.
Mhm.
But at the same time, she was able to get funding for the restoration of the Santa Barbara Church
Okay.
and convent
All right. So
from various organizations.
she will bring Secretary Frasco to you.
Yes.
That's good. All right. Who
But
is this?
this is Joyce Magaysay Rosal.
Okay.
She is a humanities professor of UP,
All right.
and she has been winning her writing for culinary articles.
Mm-hmm.
She's been joining the competitions now with the Hilda Cordero Fernando competition.
Mm-hmm.
She's been winning almost every year.
The
But
Doreen
also,
Fernandez.
she's
Yeah.
she's the one who's been working with students.
Uh-huh.
Sa humanities niya involves a lot of food, a lot of textile, a lot of traditional food waste. She started by introducing them to public markets.
Okay.
What it's like to be there. So
Yeah.
imagine so ang dami now. A lot of her students have graduated, pero they have kept the interest in heritage because of what she's doing.
Galing, galing, galing.
Siya yung nagbigay sa akin ito. This is
Ah,
a local brand already of that probably her students helped the makers of chocolate also
oh,
brand. Mm.
all right.
This is
Okay.
Rene, Professor Rene Trance, also of UP. And what he does is he does the heritage lectures and tours of churches and houses. But
Currently.
currently, and what he does is he also works with the owners of the houses and the bantais. He keeps that during the COVID period. He kept in touch with a lot of these people because ang
Yeah,
hirap din at that time. You remember,
of course.
a lot of these places closed down. Many of our heritage colleagues from the heritage houses also passed away.
Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah.
Pero si Rene has kept, his relationship open to uh, to all these houses, and he's also like Professor Joy. He also trains and teaches
All right.
his students about heritage.
Galing.
Mm.
All right.
This is in the Pilar Martinez.
Okay.
This was during her birthday, just a few
Mm-hmm.
days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, She's the curator and owner of the Don Rosendo Meca Heritage Historical Marker, and
Uh-huh.
that's the oldest printing press in Iloilo. It's 1912.
Yeah,
And I was telling you about the center getting a grant from Isat University
yeah.
to
Is that Martina?
digitize the collection of the house.
Wow.
That you with in the Irene in Santa Barbara, remember?
Yeah.
You were cooking.
I was telling them to all wear red lipstick.
Oh,
Okay.
this is the one.
Beautiful.
This is the regional. We started the regional Philippine regional cooking
Yes.
series for Food Magazine. No?
Yes.
But prior to this, actually,
It's one of
when
the
this
best
was during
novels ever.
this was when Mickey Phoenix became editor. No, but prior to her becoming the editor of the magazine, I also did a small article for Food Magazine,
Mm-hmm.
which was really just a directory of restaurants, snack bars all over Iloilo. And I found out later that they were telling me that it was one of the most read articles, no? And people were one of the food purveyors told me that she was given a copy, a Xerox copy that they found in the Makati Medical Center.
Mm.
It was being Xerox pala and put in the rooms, but I
Ah,
don't know where.
wow.
It was like a guide, not to bring them around the city of Iloilo
Yeah.
also.
Okay. One more greeting. Alfred Velosa. Ma'am Lut serves good chocolate at balay na bato. Couple it with Camp Alfredo's and Saimada and it makes our day. Yeah. I'm getting hungry and I yes to that yes to that and to the um lady fingers yung
Broas.
broas. Yeah, yeah. So I want to say hello to all my friends there, starting with my friend Ida Soto. Yeah. Okay, next.
Oh,
Iloilo.
and then that's the one, Iloilo Original Noble Land.
Yeah.
This was actually produced at around the same time as the Estilo Ilonggo book, no? Except that the Estilo Ilonggo book was delayed because Sir Alejandro got sick, no?
Yeah, pero
And
you really have higantes? Are those
yeah,
higantes or
this is in Miagao. This was a festival in Miagao
I
for
thought
the Visperas of Miagao's
ah,
town fiesta.
okay. I thought only
Mhm.
Tagalogs had that. Okay, so that's the last slide. But you know what, Eugene? We have to call you back because I think you only covered maybe one eighth of what we would want to know more of, di ba? Wala, bitin eh.
Sige, it would be my pleasure to come back.
Not
Ano,
only not only that, but also all these friends of yours who are on the side contributing their own stories like that, di ba?
yes.
Maybe we should next time go into the to go places there that are 50 years old or are and older and resorts and all that, you know. Pero wow. Okay. I have a another question. What is the oldest heritage collection that you have ever put your hands on?
We just did a
Ah, that
heritage.
one?
There's a heritage house that I'm not going to mention the name of right now, but it was untouched for since 1912. So there's Art Nouveau decorations, furniture, photographs of family members, uh, his and hers bathrooms that are mirror images of each other. 1912, huh? Uh, Inverted skyscraper milk glass lights. You name it, they have it.
Uh, who took care? How was it preserved? You did it?
No, this is they consulted the heritage group just fairly recently. And so it's still in the process of being documented. They're
Okay.
documenting it right now. So I'm not in the, later, uh, we will be able to share with you more information about the house. But that's probably one of the earliest houses I know that has been preserved, no? Completo with
So
all the
100, mga 100,
furniture.
110 years old na. I'm
Yes.
still trying to.
Because the others are they were gutted during the war, di ba?
Yeah.
Ang daming mga ito hindi siya nag-gut eh.
Hindi ba you had a big bagyo? Tessie was
Yes.
telling me, Tess was telling me before.
But you remember that
Right?
the Iloilo has flood control infrastructure
Yeah, but
already. So
during that bad flood, none of the houses got rotten or
buti na lang hindi, no? Buti na lang hindi na ano, because I also noticed that most of the heritage houses survived the big typhoons because of the cuatro aguas, the formation of the roof na apat siya na ganyan eh. Wala siyang open na two sides ang ganyan. So hindi siya, it's protected. It's like
what
four sides are
architecture?
protected.
What architecture is that? Spanish, European,
Um, I'm not sure. I'm not so
Doric?
sure if it's Spanish because we also have that in, 'di ba yung nipa houses are like that
Oo
also.
nga eh. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
So even after the big bagyo, Yolanda ba yun or Frank, I went to Capiz.
hmm.
All the nipa houses survived with that configuration.
Who is this? He was into making nipa houses na design. Bobby, the architect. My mind.
Manyosa.
Manyosa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Diba? I actually, Eugene, I'm dizzy from my imagination, and I want to go back there. I want to fly back there mainly to eat everything I
Yes, yes, you
can,
should.
and
Mm.
even going to where Jory brought us. But
Tsaka ang dami niya pang dami. There are so many places in Santa Barbara that I haven't been to that the next time you're here, he will have to bring us and show us in Santa Barbara.
okay, we never really got to ask you too many personal questions. It was all about all these collections that you have and your work. Are you a ghost whisperer?
Ghosts, hauntings are really just bad memories, I think. But it's really a matter of how you see,
No,
memory.
the old houses, did they have?
Kaya nga, sabi namin, like for example, in a lot of the houses that we worked with, um, never kaming nagkaroon ng problema.
Yung hair racing.
Yeah, yung
Oh,
sinasabi nila na
oh,
because we were very accepting that the spirits of the house are
yeah.
part of that. If you
Okay.
look at, di ba, ang Thai, ganun din mo. Di ba, they have that spirit house outside.
Where?
In Thailand, they have, before you enter their house, they have a spirit house outside.
Ah, okay. Yes, yes, yes.
Parang in a way we are related in the sense that before you enter an old house, diba, you say tabi anay. You
Mm-hmm,
make a greeting, no? You acknowledge the presence.
mm-hmm.
Ganon yun. So wala kang problema when you see we've worked in heritage houses that we shot several films, documentaries in an old house, and then stayed on until 10 or 11 o'clock in the evening. It's okay lang. Wala kaming problema.
Ayan,
Mm.
Gina. Sabi niya, Gina, you leave Gina there at night in one of the houses. She said it's a good session to have on houses with ghosts. And Rose Hennessy, I'm going to Iloilo soon. Eugene, morning to Eugene, food tripping again. For all these friends of yours who love you, I'm sure they're so loving of you, diba? And
Okay. Thank
I
you.
think it's because also of the work you do, and not only that, you share the information, diba? Like, okay, so how many books have you yourself made?
Ako, none. Pero,
I was
uh,
leading to that because you have to. You had a stroke, you survived it. So
yeah,
now you gotta do this. All your
sige, sige.
friends there behind you are there, I'm sure, and me too will be there to help. And calling shout out to Secretary Frasco. Please give a big look at the work of Eugene, because I think this is really preservation at its best. And
Thank you.
it's gonna last for how many generations, diba? Do you
Thank you.
promise? Do you promise?
I promise. As we speak, my heritage kakanin vendor is passing by the front. Baka you'll hear her later in the
No,
background.
actually, you just started taking pictures of everything in your house, and that's
Yeah.
already one chapter. And then another book. Ano na? All of us who are listening now, we are witnesses to this that Eugene has committed himself. I'm sorry, Eugene. I really had to press you on to that because I remember I told you that years ago.
It's true. True.
Yeah. So I
Yes.
think you should be making that already. Anyway, what is your bucket list? No more heritage. What's your bucket list aside from the book that you will make?
Travel. I want to travel.
You
Look
should.
at, yeah. Before COVID, I went to several places that I want. It was in my bucket list. I made it.
Okay.
So I will continue that.
All
Oh,
right.
oh.
Okay.
It also, travel also informs your work.
Of course. And
Ang dami mong matutunan, no?
my bucket list is to go and visit you guys and see all those and talk with the
Sige.
hosts because
Oh,
I'm a
sige.
food explorer also.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Eugene.
thank you.
This is not the end. This is just chapter one. We're going to have you again, and maybe Jory and you can see us through all the food naman, and all
Sige,
the
sige.
foodie friends of yours will be there. And they said, "Congratulations, Eugene. Privileged to
Thank
work
you.
with both of you." Yes, thank you very very much.
And
Uh,
thank you also to Anton, ha? Anton, the silent
Anton is
partner
there. He's
there.
listening right now. Anton is listening, but he's only in with audio only. Anton, and again, as I said, we are going to have Eugene back here
Thank
for
you.
another very rich, um, privileged time to have somebody like a leading heritage advocate here in Awesome Live, because you are awesome, Eugene, and you will come out with an awesome book. I love you, Eugene. Thank you
I
very
love you. Love you also.
much. God is.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.